What's up, family? At the Macadine headquarters, doing some reflecting and studying. I wanted to go into something that I briefly touched on a few videos ago, dealing with a memory I had from being a child of being saved from being raped by a male cousin at a young age. Now, mind you, I was born in the 60s, once again telling my age. And between the 60s and 80s, the conditions of the black household, especially in project life like it is today, but more so back then, it was horrendous in many regards. We were unprotected, and there was a lot of rape, childhood rape going on, physical and psychological abuse, just above, just the imagination, children being groomed, children being coached into things, not knowing what's going on, of course. But the overlooked epidemic when it came to rape, the overlooked predator when it came to rape, was the female babysitter. My first sex experience didn't come, fortunately, from being raped by a man. And if I was to choose, like any man, any sane, rational man, between being raped or molested by a man or a woman, most of us men would choose, as I have chosen, myself personally, if I had that choice, to be that by a woman. And not that I wanted that on any level, but that's how my experience occurred. When I was about 4 years old, my mother was seeing this guy who, in retrospect, was a quintessential yet abusive alpha male. This brother was named Charles Green, and the Greens lived behind the projects. And some kind of way him and my mother hooked up. It obviously was brief, because I have very short memories of the brother. But I do know that he had multiple women, and he had a woman living at his mother's house behind the projects, as I just said. And I guess during my mother and Charles's little tryst, I was being watched by Charles's white girlfriend, a redhead, and I remember her name and everything to this day, of course. Her name was Jackie. And I'll never forget not being able to wait till after school. I'm in like preschool or kindergarten. I couldn't wait to get to the Green's house so Jackie could babysit me, because every day when I would go over there from school, she would make sure I took off my pants and got in the bed with her, and she would put me between her legs. I didn't know what she was doing. All I knew was that it felt good, and I looked forward to it every day. However, I don't know if I was exhibiting signs of over-sexuality or whatever, but I think Charles got wind of it, because one day I hear this commotion going on downstairs during one of our little episodes, and she go downstairs, and I look, and she's getting her ass whipped by Charles in the corner of the front door, where they had windows, little paneled windows on the side of the door. But I never forget, he had her against the door in the corner, and one of her elbows hit one of the windows and left a crack. And since that day, that was the end. That day marked the end of Jackie babysitting me. So I believe that it was about her sexually abusing me. No doubt about it. And I enjoyed it, like any little boy would, although it was bad. And I'm really surprised that it didn't imprint me to want white women, because she was a white girl and she was a redhead. had it not been for the Nation of Islam brainwashing me with the love of my own kind. I say brainwashing because that is not all bad, but it's not all good. However, once again, I'm surprised that I wasn't imprinted and that white women was just the only women I would desire. Fast forward several years, I'm about 8, 9. And see, these teenage girl babysitters, dangerous. They're the ones that get under the radar. They, hello, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, being so sweet. But once those doors close, her whole persona changes. So fast forward, my mother has a friend. She's a beautiful woman named Betty, rest in power. Betty and my mother was like best of friends. And she had a son named Keith. Me and him were the same size. I mean, age and size. We hung out together, called each other cousins. And Betty, who was my mother's good friend, had another friend that she hung out with that became my mother's friend as well. And she had a daughter named Belinda. Now, Belinda was about 15. They were big women. They were big women. Her mother probably was about 300. But shapely, real big booties. Like, they were from the islands, I believe Bermuda. And anyway, Belinda was babysitting Keith. So Belinda became my babysitter. So the first night Belinda came over, she was straight just to the point. She started looking through my mother's dresser drawers, going through the house, all kinds of stuff. But she ran across what she was looking for was some porn. And she found where every family had a stash. My dad had a stash in there that she found. And we're in there looking at porn. We're looking at all these magazines. And, you know, she's doing all these different poses, and it was wild. I didn't do nothing to her. She was feeling on me, and I was feeling on her. And I told my cousin Keith about it. He told me that he said, "Oh, you got Belinda too? Oh, we do it all the time." So I was looking forward to the next time she came around, because the first time she was playing sleep after looking at the magazines. But in retrospect, I think what she wanted me to do was undress her, because she was playing sleep, and I'm trying to wake her up like, "Why are you going to sleep? What you doing?" She really wanted me. She had her booty up. She was on her stomach. She really wanted me to do something. But I was a little boy. I didn't know what was going on. I knew, but I didn't know. And nothing happened. So the next time she came over, this is funny because she came over and she put us, me and my brother, in the back room. And she was real strict this time. Like, don't come out. Go to sleep. I was like, what the hell is that all about? Come to find out, she invited this dude named Kevin Spencer, track star. I seen him creeping. He's in the living room with her. I said, okay, I got something for your ass. You know what I did? Told my mother. Told my mom, and got rid of her. But the point I'm making is, women have went under the radar. All the focus was on the pedophile men. My aunts, my mother, they knew, obviously, the ones in the family who were off. And they protected them, which was wrong. They should have got demolished. And they protected the children from them. That's why they knew to get me from the basement that time, before anything happened. I was saved, but they never saved me from them babysitters. They never saved us from them female babysitters that were sexually molesting us, as illustrated in the movie Antoine Fisher with Denzel Washington. See, we didn't have CPS. On the East Coast, we had a weak form of DIFUS. It's called DIFUS, a weak form of protective services that really was ineffective. But these women have been and still are going under the radar. You know, the teenage girls at that age, their hormones are raging. And that's why a lot of men, you know, they end up going into these young girls that become their babysitters because they know this reality. So just be mindful. You know, that damage, whether it be by a man or a woman, is still damage. You know, I'm still working through in these latter stages of my life, through all of that rigmarole, that sexual abuse that we went through, that I went through, mainly and namely by women. So just be careful, brothers and sisters. Watch who you allow to take care of your children in your absence. Be mindful of them. Be mindful of their history. Put a camera in your house. Do whatever you got to do to safeguard your children and make sure that they're not a victim of sexual or any other kind of abuse. Peace. More later.